Insurance sales was hard until I learned this. If you're watching this, you probably have the attention span of a goldfish, and you're about to click off the next 8 seconds. I need you to not do that real quick. What you're about to watch is a training I did for a team back in November of how I doubled my production basically overnight after just reading one book. I did not change my leads, I did not change my script. All I did is I changed one thing of how I think on the call. Now, in the first 2 minutes of this, I want to be honest, it sounds like a lecture. It sounds like me just rambling about psychology, self 1, self 2. You'll figure out what that means in a second. Just hang tight for 2 minutes and I promise it's worth it. I almost didn't post this video because it sounds way too academic in the beginning, but the guys on the call said they benefited from so much, and they said it was the best thing they learned last quarter. One of our team members, about 3 days later after this training alone helped him go from 6K weeks to 10K weeks just by listening to the training. Nothing else changed. So if you can survive the next 5 minutes of me sounding like a professor, I promise this training will be beneficial for you. Or you can go watch another video telling you to fix your tonality for the 100th time. It's up to you. I'm just kidding. It'll be a good video, I promise. Stick around for the next few minutes.
I filed them in here, I forgot.
There we go.
Okay. All right, well, for the recording, these are the 5 things I'm going over. The sauce is starting now. So the definitions, real quick, this is super important, is self 1 and self 2. Self 1 is your conscious and ego mind. So it likes to be in control of the situation at all times and wants to take credit for good results. And it's always looking for self-approval. Self 2 is your subconscious. So it's your nervous system, your intuitive system. It actually already knows how to perform when it's trusted. So that's self 1 and self 2. Before I go on here, does that make sense? Like, I'll explain a bit more in depth in a second, but does self 1, self 2, like, any questions about that definition there? Because that's super important.
I think if I can add to it too, self 1, self 2, anyone here has told themselves, I need to do X, Y, Z. I need to work harder. I need to eat better. I need to be more chill on call. I need to, sound more certain on call. I need to X. So when you say I need to, like, you're just telling, like, self 1 is like you telling yourself.
Self 2 to do something.
Yeah, you telling self 2. So self 1's like, I need, like, you need to do this. So your self 2 in this case will be like you doing the thing. But like Casey was saying, I think you're gonna touch on it. It's a very not the best way to communicate with your subconscious brain. But go ahead.
Yeah. All right, cool. No questions. So self 1 and self 2. Self 1, for example, is I talk to myself. I is self 1. Myself is self 2. So for example, like Tony just said, is in tennis example, is hit the ball harder, loosen your wrists, like move your elbow this way. Sales example is don't mess a sale up. I need the commission, or I need to hit my numbers this week. That's self 1 talking. That is not good for self 2 to perform. I'll go into more why in a second, but that's self 1 talking there. So why is this important? You perform at your best when self 1 is actually quiet and not giving instructions to self 2. So when you're thinking, oh, I should, the tennis example is hold my grip tighter on my wrist, rotate my hips this way. That's messing self 2 up. When you're thinking about on your call, like, okay, I should sound more relaxed, or I should come off a different way. That's self 1 talking on the call, which is not allowing self 2 to perform at its best.
I think the good example on this two case, like, who here has at one point be like, man, I'm in flow state. Like, who here have those days where every single call you just feel really good, like you're in flow state, you feel you can close anyone. Who have those days before?
Definitely.
Cool. So the thing is, like Casey was happening, those days happen when you're not telling yourself what to do in every single call. You're not on the call thinking like, I need to sound a little more chill with this pitch. I need to sound. When flow state, what that all means is you're just quiet, right? Like your brain is quiet. You're in the moment. You're not thinking about what to say, how to say it. You're just doing the thing, and that's the whole point of the self 1, self 2 thing. And the thing is, once you learn this concept, you can essentially tap into flow state, which is you doing the thing, right?
When self 1 is quiet, yeah.
So
when you're not talking to yourself during the call.
Yeah. So, but yeah, okay, you can go back to it. I just want to explain that.
Yeah, thank you. So example, tennis player is not thinking like I just said, or Tony just said, is rotate hips, stiffen arm, relax wrist, move arm forward. They just imagine where they want the ball to go, and it goes there. They just let self 2 perform. Now, type a 1 in the chat if you didn't close a deal in the past that you needed to close, and you carried that into your next call. Like that's probably happened to a lot of people. So yeah, a lot of people. So a lot of times self one talks more and more because you're not getting the result you want to, and that's spiraling into your next calls and you're performing worse and worse. Like, okay, I hit the ball out, I keep hitting it out. Man, I suck. I need to hit the ball in. It just keeps going. And self two cannot perform when that happens. So that's like you just can't have self one talking to allow self two perform. That's also kind of sales 101 is don't let your last call affect your next call. The self one and self two there. Before we go on there, what questions that create for y'all?
I had a question, Kason. How do you like if you are currently doing that or sometimes do,
Mm,
how do you almost get into that flow state? Like what did you do
yeah.
yourself to like stop doing that and just get into the flow state?
Yeah, I'll answer that in like 5 minutes. It's in the
Oh yeah, I
next
wasn't
part of
sure I was
yeah.
maybe getting ahead,
It's
but
gonna go in there. Yeah, you're good. Yeah,
okay.
good question. It's part of it. It's in there though. So that's self one and self two. Next is judging your outcome. So, for example, tennis players or just high performers in general, they're not thinking about the last hit they just had, whether it was good or bad. You're not thinking about, oh, I just hit a bad hit. It still went over, but it's a bad hit. They're just on to the next moment. So it's thinking about present shots, present moment, not the past, not the future. So that's where relaxed concentration comes from, is full presence in the current moment with the client without judgment. So judgment is, for example, that call was bad. It activates self one's ego. So just learn to observe without judgment. That's one of the biggest things that helped me in this last month is at the end of the day, I'll go into this more in depth later, but not labeling my end of day as good or bad, just labeling as a day where I didn't close anyone or I did close people. I was profitable, I was not profitable, and evaluating from there, not judging. Now, how many of y'all type one in the Zoom if you in the chat if you've heard any of these things before, either yourself or you've heard other people say them, is my show rate is fill in the blank. Today was fill in the blank, or that was cooked, chopped, smoked, bad, good, not good, sucks, horrible, or even off the call, reacting or on the call, emotionally reacting when a lead gives an objection. That should be pretty much everyone. Like I did that so much prior to talking to Tony and reading this book. Is like today was smoked. Like man, today I didn't do very well. Today I sucked. Like dude, that's so bad for your self one, because if you're off the call emotional, on the call you're gonna be even more emotional. Like when I stop tweaking off the call emotionally, I become more relaxed on the call. You can't really have one without the other. It doesn't really work like that. Like if you're subconsciously thinking man, this was a bad day off the call. On the call, you're going to be more pressure to try harder next time you're on a call. That's one of the biggest realizations I had from this book is just not labeling things as good or bad. A little temp check here. How y'all feeling from that so far?
That was
Good?
Good.
so good.
Good? Okay.
So what do you say instead?
Like in what example? Like let's go 10 pitches in a day, 0 closes kind of example.
Hmm.
So from there, I think that's one of the next slides, but from there is that's where you're just observing with non-judgmentally. So, okay, I had 10 pitches today, none of them closed. What could I have done differently? Like, how did it feel in the moment? I'll talk it about in a minute, like how self two learns is best, like how it learns the best, but it's basically from just observing non-judgmentally and evaluating from there. You're not going to get super analytical of, oh, I pronounced this sentence wrong or I started stuttering or whatever. It's just how it felt in the moment. Did it feel like I was pressuring them? Did I feel pressured? They probably felt pressured. Did I feel rushed? They probably felt rushed. Just in like feeling and going from there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah,
Thank
good
you.
question.
Maybe you can also add on to this too. It's like
Mhm.
the whole perspective thing is so true. Like you never want to label things with whatever, right?
Yeah.
It you getting 8 no-shows out of 10 call book in a day, that could be a good thing. Depends on how you usually look at it. Because let's just say this, if you are used to a 90% no-show rate and you go from 90% no-show rate to 70% no-show rate, that'd be pretty good, right? But
Yeah.
we have a 7% no-show rate right now. We'd be like, that's bad because we don't a number is usually better. So it's like good or bad, it's all perspective. So yeah, I do agree. Like with Kaysen, it's so easy to like have a day and be like, oh, today was bad, today was good. It's just look at the numbers, what it is. Like, okay, cool, this is what happened. I lost money today, I made money today. It's just no. And another key thing too, and this is maybe I don't know if you have it in the slides, but like you can say the things, but only you know how you feel emotionally. You can be like, you can say
Yeah.
things in a way where it's like, oh, I'm just observing, like, oh, I have 10 no-show today, right? That's different. But if you are saying it and it's invoking an emotion in you,
Yeah.
that still counts, by the way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that makes sense. But
Yeah, you can. I know it's for me at least. I was wondering, okay, what if I just say it was a bad day, but don't have an emotional attachment to that? Your subconscious is still going to label that as a bad day, and you're going to try it even harder tomorrow and self one talking tomorrow. So it's like, however you say today went, how's like you have to have no emotion attached to that, like no label to that. It was just a day that you closed or close less. Cool. All right. So that's self one, self two, judging your outcome. Next is non-judgmental observation. So kind of what to do instead. So like we just talked about this is don't label actions as good or bad. Self one is I suck. Self two is not trusted and can't perform at your best. Instead, just label like we just talked about, the ball went out, and self two will correct on its own. That's a big unlock I had from the book. I was like, man, there's just self two inside of me that already knows how to perform if I just trust it. But you have to trust it by non-judgmental observation and just being focused in the current moment. An example of that is like view results like a referee does. So they have what's called a detached interest in the game. They just see out balls is out and in balls is in. They don't see either as good or bad, unless you believe in the NFL script. So they out balls is out, in balls is in. They don't care if it was in or out. But they're interested still. They still have an interest. They're just detached from it. So what I thought here is as I was reading the book, okay, should I just have no emotions at all? That's not what the book is saying. It's not saying to become an emotionless robot. Instead, it's a conscious decision you have to make after you feel the emotion. So when I get no-showed 10 times in a day, I'm going to have a human emotion, like it's negative. I'm going to get frustrated. It's immediately what you do after that that decides where you go from there. So whether it's like a negative emotion reaction is okay, instead of just having a negative reaction, I'm going to observe what I did instead, non-judgmentally. So you can still have positive and negative reactions to things. It's just what you do with those. It sets you up for failure or success in the future. Does that kind of make sense? That was a big unlock for me. Anyone?
Yeah, that's really good, Case. It makes a lot of sense.
no, that's really good. I'm just processing the slides.
I'll slow down a little
But
bit.
no,
Yeah,
it's
so
good though.
Yeah, after the day is over and I have 10 no-shows, 0 closes, whatever, I will still have a negative reaction, like initially for like a split second. Then you have to catch it and make a conscious decision to not judge it and then just observe from there, non-judgmentally observation. So evaluate from there. And also as well, what I realized is enjoy the process. If I'm gonna be in this business for the next 10 years, you have to enjoy the day today, otherwise you're gonna be miserable. Like long term, your progress is gonna go way down if you don't enjoy the day today, which includes closing 0 people some days or getting no showed some days. So if you want to be here long term, you have to enjoy the long term process.
Yeah, 100%. Can I share this real quick, Kason? This is
Yeah,
from
go ahead.
Brandon Hall. This might be applicable. So Brandon Hall, he was on the Saturday boot camp, which most of y'all don't join, by the way. You guys should join. And he was talking about how to Brandon Hall, this is what a good week for Brandon Hall looks like. It's like a good week usually composed of 2 very good day, 2 very like bad day, or like not as good, I guess. Like 1 day where you just mediocre. That's for Brandon Hall. He said this for him.
Interesting.
Days where he write a bunch of AP, 2 days where he barely writes any AP, and 2 days is in the middle. And I can attest to this. If you guys have, I mean, we got a couple people here that write like over 10, 15 grand a week before. Usually the bulk of the AP happens in like 2 days, where you put up like 5K a day. and then the other 3 days you put up like 5K total in 3 days, right? So it's like what Brandon Hall was saying is so true. It's kind of like Casey. Like you have to learn that's having days where you strike out. It's just what it is. It's just part of the game. And what he was saying is so many people, when they have those days where they strike out, guess what they do? Oh, am I saying something right about the script? Man, should I say feeling the writer instead of senior feeling the writer? Like I literally got people coming to me be like, Tony, should I say senior feeling the writer or feeling the writer? I'm like,
Yeah.
when someone's asking that, they're so in their head, they're not gonna close anyway. It's like it's never that like it's such a small thing. So I'm just saying, when you have those days where you strike out, I don't want to say bad anymore, so I don't want to label it bad. But like, let's say the day you don't close, you make no AP. Don't let those days be the reason why you change your process. You make a different thing. You add this in the script here and there, and boom, out of nowhere, the whole thing's messed up. So, but I just at least want to
Yeah.
share. You guys,
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. That's the thing I did not include in the slides is the script specifically. I've seen people use not totally different scripts, but we have like our slightly modified BL script. There's the BL script, and then I know some people on different Zoom room that you are asking weird questions we don't ask here at all, and they still do really well, like 40, 50K a month consistently, and they're asking like, do you already have life insurance in place? Like, how much equity do you have in your home? And they still do well. And I just don't ask those questions, and BL doesn't ask those questions, and he still does well. So it's not the script that makes or breaks. The script does matter for sure, but it's the same general concept regardless of what script you use. I agree with you. Now, as well as enjoying the process, when I was reading the book, I had a question: is should I congratulate or celebrate when I have a win? So when I have a record week, whatever it is, should I congratulate myself? And the answer from the book, I actually answered this after I read it, is after I had the question, is it's impossible to judge events as positive or negative without seeing some events as positive or negative. So you can't only judge positive without also seeing the negative subconsciously. There's no way to stop the negative side of the judgmental process. You can't only see record weeks as record weeks without seeing a bagel week without a bagel week. Like you're going to see it and subconsciously also judge it. So at least in, I mean, my opinion, just take wins gracefully for what the book mentions as well. Is take wins gracefully. You had a win. That's great. Just move on. Just take the win gracefully. Move on. From what helped me a lot in the last 4 weeks as well is not having super high highs and super low lows. So if I do a record week, great. I'm not gonna go crazy on my celebration. I'm gonna take it gracefully. That way, when I have a super low week, I'm not absolutely bummed out subconsciously because I labeled a good week as a good week and celebrated too hard. So that's non-judgmental observation. Next is changing habits the right way. So the 4 steps to changing habits the right way. I think, Zach, this kind of relates to your question you asked earlier. So step 1 is observe the current habit you have without judgment. So this requires you to relax. Step 2 is picture the new desired behavior in your head. A good way to do this is to watch others. That's what the book mentions specifically, is watching others, watching pros do it. So watching Kirk, Tony, others people pitch, and you just imagine how they're feeling in the moment. You're not getting super analytical in this. For example, if you're watching a tennis pro hit a ball, you're not thinking about all the little muscles they're moving. You're just thinking about how they feel when they hit the ball. So in sales, for example, for me, this is my goal here is not closing the sale. Obviously, that's the long-term goal, but my goal that I made for the last 3, 4 weeks is how I want them to feel during the call, and that's been my goal. So if they feel relaxed, if they feel low pressured, informed, and they like me, I believe they're much more likely to buy if they feel those things. So I'm not thinking super analytically about how to make them feel those things. I just imagine them sitting across the table from me. They feel super relaxed and they're enjoying the conversation. And that's helped me a lot. Like this is like one of the biggest things helped me is just picturing them in my head that they're relaxed and I come across as relaxed. Just letting self-soup perform without getting super analytical about uh, tonality, all that stuff. Just making them feel relaxed and that relaxes me and the conversation goes well. That's one of the biggest key takeaways. Is y'all resonate with that a little bit? Hopefully it helps a little bit.
That was really good.
Like
Like
that.
I was literally talking to Pierce about this. I was eating lunch with Pierce just now. It's like everyone trying to, that's the whole point. Who here has told themselves, I need to work hard in the past? If you don't
Yeah.
raise your hand, you're lying.
Yeah.
100% lying, you don't raise your hand. Because I told myself that so many times. And guess what? The thing that got me to work harder, I remember recently I watched a video of Ryan Serhant. You might know Ryan Serhant. We're a couple guys from real estate from here. And it was a Ryan Serhant video of him going through his day. It's a day in the life of Ryan Serhant. And he was actually working so hard. Like my every single hour, he was on calls doing something from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m. That video, me seeing how someone operate like that got me to work harder. Like the months of me telling myself I need to work harder was like not as effective as me watching someone does it. So that's why it's so important to be on Zoom to like listen to people and see what they do. And also, if you're not on Zoom during your free time, you have to be able to visualize. Cool. Like think about your perfect day, how you work, perfect call, how you set like those visualization also help. So like I don't want to add something to that case. I haven't finished the book yet, but that's to
Yeah.
me it's just anecdotal,
Yeah. That's a step 2 is visualize. So step 1, observe your current habit without judgment. Step 2, picture the new desired behavior in your head. So make the other person relaxed. Step 3, visualize and feel it. So self 2, Zach, this answers your question, is self 2 learns best from sensory imagery. So aka how something feels, looks, sounds, tastes, smells. So your sensory imagery is just your senses and just feeling it in the moment. So you're not thinking about how exactly to swing your paddle when you hit. You're just imagining you want to hit a good drive. You just imagine how it feels. And then self 2 will just do its thing and it'll work. It's kind of cool. I was blown away in the book is you just have to let self 2 do its thing. But it learns best from sensory imagery. So you're not trying to correct for past mistakes. You're not trying to intentionally do things differently. You're just imagining the new desired behavior in your head and just letting self 2 rip. And lastly, step 4 is just let it happen naturally through repetition, not effort. So there's no trying by self 1. So you're not trying to become relaxed, you just have to let it happen. Now, I'll go more in depth onto the trying relax thing. I know Kirk, I think you mentioned that earlier, is how do you relax? I'll get to that in a minute, but there's no trying by self 1. You don't try to relax. That's self 1 still is active in that situation. And the regardless of this result, just keep oneself out of it. If you don't get the results you want after a while, just go back to step 1 and ask about, just ask what's stopping you from inhibiting yourself. Now, how to quiet the mind while performing. So you can't quiet the mind by telling it to shut up. You can only do that by giving it something to focus on. So in tennis, for example, is focusing on the seams of the ball as it's coming at you. Not how quickly it's coming at you, not where your racket's at. I just focusing on the seams of the ball. In sales, I just fully focus on what the other person's saying and how they're saying it, how they're coming across on the phone, and just being fully present in the moment. So the focus is on here and now. Now, another chat interactive here. Type 1 in the chat is you become more efficient over time. You've memorized the script, and during the pitch, you're starting to quote them using Toolkit while you're explaining coverage. I used to do that a lot, I was not fully present in the moment. So as you memorize the scripts, you'll get more efficient. Oh, I might as well just get the plans together, save some time while I'm explaining coverage.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say this is absolutely huge, guys. Like Kaysen made me realize this 2 weeks ago. If everyone doesn't know, I was in like a bit of a drought. I went from doing 10K a month or week consistently to like I did like 6, 8, 7. And then Kaysen was going over things he learned from the book. And when he said that, it made me click. Like I was so not present in these calls. People would be on the phone with me, but I'm just like mentally not there. I'm just like figuring out the carrier, quoting this. I'd be getting on my phone, checking Slack, like middle of the calls. Like my mind was just not there. He made me realize it. Boom, next week I did 10K. Last week I did 10K in 3 days. Right.
In the past, I've gone as far as look at notifications on my other phone and just
Oh yeah, both. I
browsing
got
Instagram
checking them on both the
sometimes.
phones.
Yeah, check out both phones. Like it's so boring. Like the script over, the script forward and backward, but you have to be fully present with them
Yeah,
and notice if they're responding, if they're not responding, like how are they actively listening, that sort of thing.
it's huge.
So the takeaway here is do not be checking toolkit while you're pitching. Now, how many of you have also thought about as you're going through the e-app or pitching the plans, how much commission you're going to be making from this sale while you're on the call? That's actually pretty much everyone as well. I don't know if y'all, but I used to do that as a lot, and that's taking you out of the here and now. If you're wondering how much commission am I gonna make from this $200 a month AP, whatever, do not be thinking about that because that's taking you out of the here and now, the present, and putting you in the future. So anything but the here and now. Spencer, you're muted. Do you have a question? Oh, you know, okay. So anything but the here and now is taking you out of the present moment. So the past is like, oh, they gave me objection at social. I hope they still buy. That's worrying about the past and the future at the same time. The future is how much comms am I gonna make from the sale, and even thinking so far as like, what am I gonna do with this commission? How this commission will help me with my goal? You haven't even closed the deal yet. Like you already have plans for the money that's not yours. And that helped me a lot is just staying in the present moment and not worrying about the future or the past. This is more niche is what I'm specifically doing, where I notice when my mind is wondering when I send them HIPAA authorization, or the app is loading, we're not making a small talk yet. When that happens, I notice my mind tends to wonder more during those moments. So instead of just letting it be dead silent and letting my mind wonder, the book recommends specifically focusing on your breathing. And just not trying to control your breath, but just paying attention to it. And that way it gives your mind something to focus on. Because your mind's gonna wander regardless, but you have to give it something to focus on. So in tennis, it's between points. Nothing's happening. You're just getting the ball, you recognize the score, and your mind starts to wonder about what you have for dinner, what the score is. Instead, focus on your breathing during the app loading process. Hopefully that's a little bit of sauce. Did that help anyone? That helped me a lot. Is I started doing that more over the last 1 to 2 weeks as I finished the book, and that's helped me a lot. Not get so much not anxiety, but worrying about the commission during the sale, and specifically while the app is loading, and I'm not talking to them or worrying about what information during the app. And by the way, if you do get distracted about the present or future, and you go back to the current moment, you're not as focused as you would be when you get back to the present moment. Your attention is out a little bit diluted when you do revert from the future or the past into the present moment again. So that's like, it's very important not to do that, and just not do that by focusing on your breathing and staying in the present moment the whole time. Cool. That's changing habits the right way. Lastly is making it happen versus letting it happen. So making it versus letting it happen. Making it happen, we say, I'm gonna make it happen. That's self one talking. The self one forcing, micromanaging it. Letting it happen is letting self two perform naturally after giving a clear picture of the goal. So that's back to the changing habits is sensory imagery, how something feels, is how self two learns the best. So for example, you hit a good tennis serve, it goes in, self two will actually remember how it feels for next time. You don't even have to do anything. Your self two will just remember once you observe it, once how it felt in your hand. Same for sales is you handled an objection really well. I don't know if y'all have heard Tony, like he'll go on these crazy objection handles after pitch, and he doesn't remember what he says afterwards. He just says something and it works. It's just Tony, can you attest to that?
Yeah,
When you're in
Flow
flow
state.
state,
it's a lot of time when I'm like, when they give me objection, I'll just start talking. Like it's it's so crazy. And I think Jason called out one time too. Like it's like different. Like I'm just kind of like not present, and then like boom, they give, and it's like a switch. And when I get in a flow state, it's like me just trusting myself to say it, whatever it comes to mind, and it usually works out. The time that when I'm thinking like I'm gonna do this here, this framework, this word track, you're not closing them, right? It's just the moment you're just like in it. I think yeah, it's. I mean, you saw you actually calling out, so
yeah.
yeah, It's
Because
true.
I asked you what you said, and you was like, I don't remember. I just had something. It worked.
Yeah. And it's just by, again, when you get enough reps in, then your brain remembers what to do. And you just have to trust it, the thing
Yeah.
for it to do it, you know? That's about it. That's really good.
So self 2 will remember. Now, trying too hard is also real. Once you get in the flow of things and you realize self 2 can perform at its best without you talking to yourself, you may actually try too hard when you're on a hot streak in sales, and you may try too hard to continue the streak, and you actually end up closing less when you try too hard. So there's no trying at all. You just have to let it happen. Trying at all is self 1, not self 2. So, and also as well, that the higher the stakes in whatever you're doing, the more self 1 tries to take over. So if you're at game point in a tennis match or in any match in general, you only have experienced this in the past is when you're at game point, is you choke. A game point is you're about to win the game if you score one more point, but then you choke, you lose the game. That's because the higher the stakes, the less relaxed you become, and the more self 1 tries to take over. I play pickleball a lot. I can attest this as well. Is I'm at game point, I'm doing really well. Game point happens, and self 1 kicks in. I start talking to myself about how I should hit the ball, and then I choke. I don't make the point. I lose the game because self 1 is active instead of letting myself perform when the stakes are specifically higher. Y'all may have also seen this with big AP deals as you get nervous because the stakes are high, big commission. The paradox here is, I think Kirk mentioned this earlier, is how do I make myself relax? So relaxation does not happen, or does not, you can't make yourself do it. It only happens when allowed, not forced. So now that you know how to perform better, you can't just force yourself to relax. You just have to let it happen by focusing on the current moment. It just happens. Whenever you're in the current moment and fully focused on the present, that's where relaxation happens, not worrying about the future, the past, or trying to make yourself relax. The flow state is when you're in the zone, so self 1 completely disappears when you're not thinking about what to do next. So everything feels slower. You may have heard some tennis players describe as they feel in the zone, they feel like time slows down. So that's when you're in the flow state that happens. So everything feels great, but as soon as self 1 shows up and says, I'm doing great, that zone will disappear. So if you score a point, I'm doing great, the self 1 ego returns, then you're out of this zone. That kind of makes sense for y'all?
This is really good.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Really good.
So really the flow state happens when you're humble, respectful, and detached from the result. So I don't know if y'all, but I mean, when I play pickleball with a certain group of friends, we like to trash talk a lot. Self 1 is completely in control of that. There's no self. I play so bad when I trash talk my friends, like friendly banter. I play horrible, and that's because I'm not relaxed. I'm trash talking, thinking about what I'm gonna say after I score this point on anyone. So like chirping specifically, chirping. Then you're not focused as you would be next time you're on a call when that happens. Like in pickleball, that happens to me a lot. It only happens when you're relaxed and in the moment. A big pitfall that the book mentions specifically is after being thrilled by results self 2 produces, you may try too hard to replicate what you did the day before. So self 1 ego, there's an ego satisfaction you get when you actively think, okay, I'm going to say this word track and close in this way, and it works. You get a big self 1 ego boost, and that is ego satisfaction when you are like trying to do something that works. Self 2 is when you allow yourself to get the result. It actually doesn't seem as if you deserve the credit, and it doesn't feel as if you were the one to hit the ball. When I'm playing pickleball and I hit a crazy hit that I don't think about at all, after I win that point, it feels like I didn't hit the ball. How did I do that? The same thing as sales, as Tony says whatever he says to handle objection. That's self 2, and it may not feel like you're the actual one to get that credit. Nolan, you have a question?
I just wanted to add in for anybody that hasn't tried to practice this yet, like in terms of what you're talking about, like once you win or once it works,
Yeah,
then the tendency is to try like, oh, I'm gonna try hard.
try hard.
Like for me, especially, first of all, the principles you've talked about so far have been super like huge for me. It's made me consistently last 2 weeks doing 10K, taking me from inconsistent before that. But going into this month, it's like we're doing Gorilla Month, and I set a really big goal for myself, and I felt myself slipping back into the exact mindset I
Trying too
had when I
hard.
was in inconsistent, which was like, this month I'm just grabbing it, I'm gonna force it to happen, like
Yeah.
it's gonna work so good. And then I just like snapped out of it, and I was like, that is so not gonna work. So like, you have to be on top of that for sure. I felt that, and had to remind myself. So
Yeah. Exactly. What was I saying here?
Got-
Yeah, so you'll get go ahead.
This might be a good insight that works for me in the past, and I think works for a lot of people. When you set a goal, I need to make this much, blah, blah, blah. I think it's more so because the brain learns the best from visuals. There's a reason why. If anyone here used to close high ticket, guess what we usually do? We're like, what's your goal? What's your dream? You build the visual, you future pace them, right? The brain does weird things when like the visual is how you get your brain to do something. So I think instead of setting a goal and be like, I need to do this, need that, it's more so set a goal. I think visualize yourself going to, like, if you have a 15K, let's say you go do 15K a week consistently. Visualize yourself going through the day. Visualize yourself going through the call when everything feels smooth. The prospect flow, like just visualize that. Like it has to be a more like imagery thing. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's sensory imagery is how self 2 performs best.
Yeah.
How it feels and looks. I would say as well as don't future pace yourself. Don't future pace yourself into how the commission will feel and how you'll have with all this money. As I was making these slides as well, I texted Tony, like, man, I gotta practice this stuff as well. Because I was making these slides like, man, are people gonna get value from this? Like, how am I gonna do the delivery of this presentation? And I started future pacing myself, thinking about the future. And I had to practice exactly this stuff is focusing on just making the best slides I can and presenting the best I can in the moment, not worrying about, oh, am I gonna start stuttering? Am I gonna get worried? I had to do this exact stuff
So it's
as I was making the
more like
slides.
future pacing the process rather than the outcome. Is that like when you future pace, like, cool, I want to just think about how can I go through this? Like just think about you going through the slides instead of like the actual outcome itself.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about how I would deliver like future pacing, like how it would be, where people get value from it, and I started worrying about the future. And instead, I just focus on the present, just make the slides, just make them as best as I can. And then
Paid off. Bro,
this
this is
morning as
phenomenal
well,
presentation.
thanks. And then this morning as well, I'll be straight up. I was getting nervous. I'm like, man, I hope I can give value. And then I just had to focus on the present moment, not worry about the future. Cool. That's the biggest pitfall is basically when it feels good is when self one will feel good and get the ego boost when you try to do something consciously and you do it, it gets a big ego boost. Self two, when you let it happen, you don't feel like as if you deserve the credit. You don't feel like you were the one to hit the ball or get the crazy shot or close the sale. Real quick, this is like a little side thing. I thought, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that Loki just clicked crazy. But go back while I was reading that after my 22K week, it was just all like flow. Like I got done
Yeah.
and I low-key was like, what did I do this week? Like I didn't feel like I had any special magic. I didn't think I did this special handle. It just happened. I was like, what did I do to deserve that?
Yeah, exactly. That's self too, because you're probably in flow that week.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you just try too hard the next week to replicate it, that's trying too hard by self one.
That's exactly what I experienced too. Because that next week
yeah, that's self one and self two for you.
I don't know, Kason, if really quick, I have a thought that I just want to share because I feel like it might benefit other people as well.
Yeah.
But like the thought that I've been having the most is like seeing this as a Christian during this entire conversation is like the most applicable way to look at it is self one is kind of like ourselves in the flesh, right? And like our natural mind, like how we think and want to lean on our own understanding, and Proverbs 3:5 tells us not to do that. Then self two, it's kind of just like our spirit led renewed mind, right? So it's kind of like, I don't know, like if anyone wants to like snowball onto this, but like I just kind of see it as like, the selfly fleshly mind versus like the spirit led mind.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, spirit led. Yeah, I agree. This spirit led mind, also your subconscious, and that is part of your subconscious. I'd say is as you read the Bible, it goes into your subconscious, and that's how you react to stuff naturally. Yeah, good point. So those are the big pitfalls. Now, the games people play as well is many people unknowingly measure self-worth through performance. I think B Hall mentioned this specifically as well. I don't remember if it was that conference on one of the daily trainings. When he stopped looking at the leaderboard altogether, is when he did his absolute best. Like when the company was starting, I don't remember if this company or a different IMO, but he was on the leaderboard tied and tied with someone neck and neck. When he just stopped checking it altogether, he blew way past that person. So just not measuring your self-worth through your performance, how you do on the day-to-day, that's not how you should value yourself, like at all. You play the game to express your potential, not to prove your worth. And the analogy the book gives specifically is surfers will wait for big waves, not to show off, but because waves reveal their capacity. So this is why surfers wait for big waves, is they don't think, it's not because the small ones aren't difficult. It's just the big waves will show their capacity of what they're able to do. And that helped me a lot. That's a bar. Yep. That one clicks a lot for me at the end of the book, is because the reward is in the process, not in the outcome. I guess Hormozy specifically mentioned this as well, is the work works on you more than you work on it. The reward is in the work, not the outcome of the money. Before I go on here, how are we feeling? Any questions, anything?
So good.
It's good? Okay, cool.
You crush it, man. This is really good. But don't let your self one take over though. Keep
Yeah,
going.
we're chilling. So that's the last one. So self one, kind of recap here, self one, self two, ego, mind, and your subconscious. Not judging your outcome, not labeling days as cooked, chopped, whatever, smoked. Changing habits the right way. So changing habits the right way is step one. What do you need to do? Like, what would you like to change in your habits? And then imagine yourself doing it, visualize it, and then step four, just observe non-judgmentally. Tony mentioned this specific video. Let's see if it plays. That really ties in really well to this whole thing. Let me share sound.
It is really
I don't know if y'all have seen this video, but it's really good.
The best in the world are not the best because they win every point. It's because they know they'll lose again and again and have learned how to deal with it. In the 1,526 singles matches I played in my career, I won almost 80% of those matches. Now, I have a question for you. What percentage of points do you think I won in those matches? Only 54%. In other words, even top-ranked tennis players win barely more than half of the points they play. When you lose every second point on average, you learn not to dwell on every shot. You teach yourself to think, okay, I double faulted, it's only a point. Okay, I came to the net and I got passed again, it's only a point. Even a great shot, an overhead backhand smash that ends up on ESPN's top 10 playlist, that too is just a point. So here's why I'm telling you this. When you're playing a point,
even his highlights are just a point. Even the crazy ESPN highlights are just a point. Is what hit me a lot.
it has to be the most important thing in the world, and it is. But when it's behind you, it's behind you. This mindset is really crucial because it frees you to fully commit to the next point with intensity, clarity, and focus. You want to become a master at overcoming hard moments. That is, to me, the sign of a champion.
Roger, it was a tough day today. You threw everything at him, but some days you just have to say too good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Novak played not only great today, but the whole 2 weeks, plus the whole year, plus last year, plus the year before that. So he deserved it. Well done, Novak.
So close in that first set. It could have been so different, couldn't it?
Maybe. That's sports. That's why we come to watch it, just because we don't know the outcome. Of course, I had my chances in the first set, being up a break. Second set, I got lucky to win that. Had some chances early in the third, but that's how it goes, you know. He was tougher on the bigger points, and then at the end he was rock solid. So I thought he played great. I didn't play bad myself, so I can be very happy as well. And that's how it goes.
Before we go on, thoughts on that? I thought it was a really good video.
Yeah, it's a great video.
Basically everything we just talked about there.
I don't know if you guys know tennis. Roger is like considered the greatest of all time, if like one of the greatest, for sure one of the greatest, top 3, or the greatest of all time. And he only won 54% of his point, which is crazy.
So every other point he's losing, by the way, like on average, every other point he's losing, but he just wins best just enough.
This reminds me of when Josh, I don't know if he talked about it with the whole group or whatever, but he sent something to specifically servant leaders about the last 10% is so important in insurance. Like that like if you close a couple deals in the morning, like taking off the second half of the day or missing that one call because you didn't feel like taking it or something came up, like when you're only winning 50% of your points, or when you're only closing 30% of your pitches, every single pitch is so important. Not that you want to attach so much value to it that it knocks you out of flow state, but you have to like make sure you're not missing that 4% that puts you ahead.
Last takeaways here before we wrap up. Basically, just the things that helped me the most last month is there was no new script. It was really just calming down on the call and being fully present and not checking my bank account every day. Quieting my inner thoughts, specifically during the e-app, not getting anxiety through the e-app, like, oh, is he going to give me banking objection? Just focusing on my breathing during the e-app and just staying in the present moment. Non-judgmental observation, not tweaking at the end of the day about not getting any closes. Like, cool, it's just today I had 0 closes. What could I have done better, if anything? Nothing? Okay, cool, show up tomorrow. If I could have done something better, okay. Imagine myself doing it differently, not too analytical, and going from there. And lastly, just enjoying the process is one of the biggest things. Is if I want to be here the next 10 years, you have to enjoy the day today. Just move on. Now, I did mention a specific free gift. Now, when I read this book, I had a lot of questions about specific concepts or how to label things as good or bad. What should I do? And no one on the team yet had read the book, so there was no one to go to besides Google, but Google wasn't going to give me a good response. So what I did for y'all is I created a custom GPT trained on the inner game of tennis and context as well as us insurance agents for better outputs. So I'm going to put a Google Doc in the chat that will have the recording to this call. Put in chat. According to this call, the slides and the custom GPT as well, along with the book links. So that the Audible, the PDF free version online, and the paperback as well, with the custom GPT there.
Can you post that in the Slack as well?
Yeah, I'll do it here for sure. Session screen.
Thanks so much, man. This is so awesome.
This is the Harrison ways, bro.
Me.
That was so good, man. Guys, bro, can we just unmute and give Kason a round of applause, please? That was just absolutely amazing. You absolutely crushed that, like from the moment.
Thank you.
So good. I was learning stuff. Like me and Zach, like Zach was like texting me one, bro, this is like really good. So, but yeah, Kason, that was, I don't know what to say. The fact you make a whole ChatGPT has been amazing. And guys, this is why we're gonna win. Think about it. We're insurance agent learning about athletes to perform better. Who else is doing this? No one else is doing this. So, Kason, that was just, again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
That was you definitely over delivered. So, but I do want to hand it off to Zach to do some takeaways. I know we ran a little bit over here. Hopefully, it was worth for everyone. It was worth for me, selfishly. But Zach, you can do some takeaways here.
Yeah, no, honor to you, Kason. That was super good. Yeah, let's do 3 takeaways. Let's hear from some of the new people. CC, what's the takeaway?
The biggest takeaway that I got was literally just centering yourself. And it was really interesting to me how he was talking about not really like manifesting ahead, but just being present now and not going too high and too low. Because obviously I came from high ticket as well. And so my previous experience was really like celebrating those wins, right? And so that was like a big thing for me. So just what I took away was kind of staying level and just doing the highs along, with the calls that don't always close, and just staying level and just the next one, hit the next ball. So
good.
Yeah.
So good. Thank you for that.
yeah.
Frankie.
Yeah, so I think for me, entering my third week, I think I'm like putting a lot of pressure on myself to like start closing consistently. But that's like the self one speaking. And I think I just need to like submit to the process, just trust it, and just stay like borderline emotionless. And at the end of the day, not be like, all right, I had a bad day, or I had a good day because maybe I got like 3 pitches in. Just trust the process, follow the blueprint, and just know everything is gonna come out on the other side. Okay, so I think that's the biggest thing for me going into week 3.
Let's go, man. Proud of you. That's amazing. Last one. Let's do Alex Wynn. Love to hear from you, man.
Yo, thanks again, Kason. The biggest thing for me also went along with Frankie there is just kind of seeing the day as objective, whether it's having a bunch of pitches or not judging it, whether it's being a good or bad day. Because again, I do the same thing where I'm like, oh, that was a really bad day with no closes. And again, just being more present on the call, because again, I'm always like looking ahead, how much am I gonna make from this deal, etc., and just kind of being in the moment with the client. So those are huge for me.
Real quick to add on to that, this is super important. We're not saying that even if you get 0 pitches, you get 0 closes in a day, that's okay. Like it's okay, but it's not what you want to do long term. That's not saying like it's okay to have 0 closes a month. You can still adapt from there, just observe what happened and what to change from there. But I know it's not what you're saying, but I just want to make that clear. It's not 0 pitches a day for them, or 0 pitches a day for the whole week is not gonna get you to your goals. So just observing and just non-judgmentally.
Yeah, so I mean, again, I appreciate the attendance was so good. Like the whole time, I don't think anyone really dropped off. Spencer, this is your first ever agency meeting with us.
Bro, I'm blown away, bro. I was literally just talking to Joseph about that. I'm like, bro, what you've been able to do and how much you've like leveraged and done, like taken over the reins, it's incredible, bro. Insane.
Thank you.
Insane. And
Yeah.
Kason, bro, you didn't hold back on that one, bro. And you and I, Kason, we've had a lot of talks. Like, I want anyone who's new here that doesn't really know me, when I was more involved with this team and we are just like launching it in the infancy stages, bro, Kason would come to me, the same thing you guys are probably, here, let me lower my Discord on. So like the same thing some of you guys are probably doing, like Tony will give you advice and like, mom says no, so you go to dad and see what he says kind of thing, divide and conquer. And Tony Kason would be like, man, I don't know about the leads. Like, bro, you think the A leads are real? Like, you think B leads are really worth it? Like all that stuff that you guys are probably going through, we went through it together. We unfortunately didn't really have like an irrefutable proof like you guys have that it's working. And kind of, just ran through the mud and figured it out together. And Case was there from the beginning. So to see what he's done now in production, but more importantly, what's happening on the inside, the internals of it, like you guys, if you guys have ever seen my document, I keep it separate from Tony because I let him do his thing, but I have like an 8 commandments of what you need to know to be like a top level producer. And one of my top commandments is a principle that you can never out earn your education level. And so if you're not making the money you want to make, and it's like, I went to this opportunity and I failed, I went to this opportunity and I failed, and then this thing changed, and the agency worked. Like the truth is everything works. Like Tony could start up a ad agency right now and be successful. Kason could start up a high ticket gig and be successful, like with the internals. But if you're not reading, you're not pouring into yourself, if you're not getting coaching like this, the results are going to pan out. So to see Kason not just seeing the numbers on the board, but becoming the kind of person that works on himself like this, and then seeing the result after that, it just fills me with joy, man. So I'm happy to see this, guys.
Thank you.
Definitely don't tell Kason to start high ticket offer though. Don't.
Yeah. Okay, you'd actually failed that. You'd be good at everything else.
Kason might actually go do it. So
Yeah.
But thank you so much for the participant today. It's just been amazing seeing how the team grows and just seeing Kason. That was just so good. Like from start to finish was literally, how people say it doesn't matter how the time you speak for, it's like value per minute. Like the minute you talk to, it's the value per minute on that talk was so high.
Like
that
I try to cut it down as much as possible. I thought it was gonna be a 20-minute talk, by the way.
No, it was worth. I mean, no one dropped off. People retention was high, so I think it was helpful. But guys, with that is pretty much it for this week agency meeting. I know we ran way over. I'm gonna send the RSVP link in the chat. Please, before you click RSVP, just send me $50 for a ticket, or you're gonna bring in someone else. And if you're on the fence about going, talk to your upline. Because
That's the training. I basically stopped labeling days and calls. I stopped labeling things as cooked or didn't go well. All I did was I started to use the non-judgmental observation, and that basically doubled my production overnight. If you're curious what we do on the insurance side of things, I left my Instagram down below in the description. Feel free to shoot me a message there and let me know what you thought about the training. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.